My name is Jirka Helmich. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Mews. And today I have the pleasure to present to you the Mews Innovation session. When I was preparing for the presentation, I started by asking myself the question, do we need to be innovative? You spent the whole day at Unfold. You've spoken to all the experts in the room. You've listened to the panels, to talks. You attended workshops. You don't need me to tell you that the answer is yes. So I have a better question. Why? Why do we have to be innovative, and why do we have to be innovative right now? If you look at some of the best inventions that the humankind has brought into the world, they have one thing in common. They were brought into the world by someone who was standing in front of a very, very hard, unprecedented problem. Problem that couldn't have been solved with existing solutions, the conventional. It wasn't enough to just iterate and make the solution slightly better. They really had to start from scratch. They had to really rethink everything. They really had to be innovative. And so that leads me to another question. What are the problems of hospitality? Why do we, hospitality tech companies, need to closely collaborate with you, hospitality operators? What is it happening in the industry that we need to innovate? I'll be answering these questions in the rest of my talk, and I'll be showing you two problems that I see in the industry. And you've seen them already today. That's good news. It's the same problems. I'll show you how they represent two big opportunities. And I'll show you some of the emerging innovation that I see in the market. Problem number one is that the traveler has changed. I think a lot has been said today about how travelers are changing their habits. And historically, if you look at hospitality, hospitality was covering for basic needs. If you look into history books, they won't be speaking about rooms. They will be speaking about merchants and pilgrims being provided a shelter on a long journey. Even if you got, horses and coaches, you had to, at some point, stop, and you had to rest. Your horses had to rest. You had to feed them. You had to feed yourself. So hospitality came from the necessary. And hospitality was along this journey with traveling being more affordable, being an everyday part of our lives. And over the years, we've become really, really good at providing a place to sleep in. This is an amazing room. It's comfort. It's not a basic need. It's not just a necessity. But people are looking for more. This is not enough to them because during the night they sleep in that bed and then they leave and the room is empty throughout the day, but more so the property is empty. Because people want to explore. Even business traveler started, after the pandemic, exploring the destination they go into, because they are done with staring into a wall in their homes. They've done that throughout the pandemic, and they want to create memorable experiences. They want to have great memories. So they go hiking, they take a husky ride, they watch the northern lights, and sure, at the end of the day, they need a bed to sleep in. They still think about the bed being there, but it's not the primary reason why they travel. It's not the primary reason why they stay somewhere. People want to interact with local communities. They want to become part of the culture. They want to interact with the culture itself. This looks like a barbecue of neighbors. And what it really is a property in Austria where the Dutch owners are organizing barbecue 3 times a week, inviting their guests over, inviting their neighbors over, inviting their friends over, and letting them interact. they exchange stories, they build connections, they become part of the community, you interact with the locals, and you feel like a local. Maybe you will make friends for life, but mainly you will build connection to the place you're traveling to. You will build emotional connection to the location that you're visiting. People seek People seek authentic experiences because they are fed up with tourist traps. There's so many of them in the world, and no one wants to travel anymore to end up in that trap. You want to experience the destination and the culture as a local. You want to understand the traditions. If you travel into the land of Prosecco, you want to understand how Prosecco is made. You want to speak to the owner of the winery. You want to touch the plant, smell it. You want to taste the wine. You want to taste the local products. You want to get as local as it gets. You want to really understand the destination. The desire goes so far that people are willing to spend multiple days in a desert because they travel for one of the biggest festivals in the world, the Burning Man, and they spend a lot of time there becoming the part of the cultural experience. They are there for the festival. They want to make sure that they create that lasting memory. Even if you're traveling for leisure, you will no longer lie on the beach for 2 weeks and do nothing. You want to grow as a person. You want to come back home and have a new skill. So why not subscribe for a cooking lesson? You will meet a local chef. You will know how to handle the local ingredients. Hopefully, you will also know how to hold a knife after that. And when you come back home, you will not only remember it, you will not only have a new skill, but it will remind you every time you actually cook that dish that you've learned over there. I want to remind us of the phrase, the art of hospitality. It's the industry phrase, everyone in the room knows it, but I was trying to explain that phrase to outsiders, and that's when I found this quote that I really liked, and I thought that I will bring it here. Art of hospitality is about being one step ahead of the guest. It's about knowing what should come next in their experience before they do. The art of hospitality is about beating their anticipation. And so, if this is true, and if guests want to have those experiences, create those memories, those connections, if they want to understand the destination, that's what we need to give them. We need to find a space, a literal space, in the property where we bring in the local communities, where we bring in the culture, the destination, because right now the destination is outside of the building. The opportunity is huge. If you look at the person at your left, and it's not an empty chair, chances are that that person is your competitor. Online, you're fighting for the same guest. Offline, you're listening to the same talk. But creating these experiences, bringing the local culture of your destination and getting really, really local about what you do can be your differentiation. You will improve guest satisfaction because that's what guests want. And you will build lasting connections with them because you will give them what they are striving for. You will provide them with that experience, and they will build the connection to your property, to your stuff, and they will come back. This is the best kind of loyalty. No loyalty points can ever beat this. Almost as a side effect, but a very important one, you will maximize the utilization of your property. If you look at your property, and if you really look how full it is throughout the day, when people are actually outside, that's something to work on. And you will create new revenue streams, because even if that experience is organizing a knitting workshop in your lobby, that's a new revenue stream. I had a look at what some of the Mews customers are doing. The other house have their private club. They organize whiskey tasting, fireside chats. You can come in there with your loved one and you can have a tea ceremony for two. The social hub, they really diversify their spaces. They let you do almost anything in the property. You can become a member of their community. You can subscribe to their co-working. You can build your venture. You can invite your colleagues. You can present to them in the theater. You can throw party in the playroom. You can have chill at the rooftop swimming pools. But if you walk into the social hub, there are posters everywhere with packed schedules of everything that is happening that given month in the property. Whether it's inviting local chef over, whether it's language lessons, whether it's traditional dance of that given destination. 180 Strand in London has a very similar concept. Again, membership, community, inviting local chefs to rising stars to test new dishes on people, inviting influencers to create content. And you know, all of these properties, all of these brands, they have beds. They sell beds. You can sleep in them. But it's not necessarily what they offer primarily. And so tomorrow, when you're back in your offices, have a think about your floor plan. Have a think about how can you invite your local community, the element, into the building, how to create space for it, how to make sure that your guests can interact with the local culture and really get to know your destination from within the building. It's on us, technology providers and hospitality tech companies, to be able to give you tools and software to support you fully, so that you can manage all these spaces the same way you're managing your rooms, including stuff like revenue management. You shouldn't need to worry about other space management softwares. You shouldn't need to worry about Excel sheets, and I'm not going to even talk about pen and paper. You can, invite influencers over. Maybe you have a bodybuilder around the corner who's really famous on Instagram. So open up the gym and let them practice there, and others will come and others will want to meet them and interact with them. Maybe you want to remodel a couple of rooms into a communal kitchen and invite that pasta chef from around the corner because he really likes teaching cooking. And have a look at your lobby. Is it empty and silent, or is it a living space? These are all very abstract advices, but you know your local element. You know your guests, you know your culture. So just have a look at that floor plan tomorrow and rethink how you can enable your guests to have what they want. But don't forget that the aim is remarkable experience. When I was showing you earlier the barbecue, that was actually my experience. I keep coming back there, and even if I'm not staying with there, they message me online and they say, you know what, it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, we're doing oliebollen, typical Dutch snack. Just come and have a chat, because they want me to stay attached to the property, to the community. They want me to still keep maintaining the connection that I have. But that leads me to problem number 2, staff shortage. The whole industry keeps talking about it. There's a lot of emphasis on this topic after the pandemic. So when I looked into the data, and this is data from US Bureau of Labor, because unfortunately Europe doesn't have a coherent data set. But if you compare this data to any other country in Europe, it's more or less similar. After the pandemic, up to 50% of people who were working at hospitality lost their jobs within the first 2 months. But what's more interesting is that even since we're hiring them back, they are not necessarily coming back as fast as we need to. If you compare the employment in hospitality from the October last year to pre-pandemic levels, there's still 6.5% of employees wanted in the industry. We tried the conventional. We're like, okay, people are not coming back, let's raise their salaries. So we're even paying them up to 25% more than we used to do before pandemic. And they are still not coming back. The pandemic set us back by almost 10 years. And it's predicted in the number of employees. And it's predicted that the employees won't be back in next 10 years. It will come back, kind of, but not fully. So the industry is even expected to grow, and massively, 10 to 15% year on year. So if you recap that, there's expectation that the revenues will grow. There's higher expectation from the guests. They want to be more satisfied and they want more. They are more demanding. And we have less people to do the job. Sounds like a problem to me. Right now, guest and guest experience, they pay the price. This may be a little bit of an extreme example for now, but this guest was so upset how the reception staff was treating them that he ran into his car, drive through the lobby and smashed into the reception desk by the car. Now, he will definitely remember it because I guess he got arrested, but even if he would be allowed to come back, he would never, because the emotion that he that he gained from the interaction with reception must have been horrible. You don't, run into your car normally and smash it into the reception desk. So that's a real problem. It's clear that we have to spend more time with the guests. And it's clear that we have to spend more time creating the unique experiences for them. And so it's super clear that us, technology providers, have to figure out how to allow you to spend less time on admin. Why am I saying that? Because do you know what's the sound of hospitality? Let me play it for you. If you approach reception, you're actually watching someone to make computer happy instead of making you happy. And so what I think should be the sound of the future of the hospitality, let me play that for you. Did you hear the silence? Software companies tend to obsess about user engagement. Software companies usually are better when you spend more time interacting with their product. If you're LinkedIn or Netflix, you measure yourselves on that. And if you're Instagram or TikTok, you know that well. You look into the app for 10 minutes, you're watching a video or two, and suddenly you look at your watch and 2 hours have actually passed. That's user engagement. At Mews, we have figured out that we're trying to achieve the absolute opposite. We're trying to drive user disengagement. We're trying to make sure that you have more time with your guests, that you're spending less time interacting with our software, with our platform, with products of our partners. We are literally trying to find you the time that you need to think about the guest experiences and think about your guests and what they need in the moment. If you think about what user disengagement is, we're really trying to make sure that everything's done faster. It's fewer clicks. You need less time to read something on the screen. You take less time to click that button. And does there need to be a screen? Does there need to be a button? Maybe we can do it without screens, and that's the best. Because we're fully aware that this is something that you need to be focusing on. You need to be rethinking your floor plan. You really need to be thinking about how you bring the local community and the experience and the guests together, and how you make the most out of your property. Many of you in the room are, however, not working on a single property. You're actually managing a chain of properties, and that's even much more difficult because you're taking that floor plan and you're scaling it into multiple locations, multiple countries, multiple continents, multiple time zones, but mainly multiple cultures, multiple locations, multiple different elements of the local space where it is. So that's a super hard task. You have to take that floor plan, you have to scale it across the globe, but it needs to become local. It needs to be local within each and every single property. And that's why I'm very proud today that I can show you something that our teams have been working on very hard. It's coming very soon. And I have a sneak peek of that something that's coming for you. Thank you. Before I leave you today, because I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm the last thing standing between you and drinks, I want to remind you of the art of hospitality. We've been talking about how the guests are more demanding. We've been talking about the fact that we have less people to attend to them. And you know, tech is trying very hard to be empathetic, especially the last few months, but it's still something humans have to do. So please do think about the floor plan. Please make sure that you bring that local element into your properties and you maximize the time that people stay there. And it's our job to support you with that, and it's our job to create for you more time to be able to do that. And together, we have one thing to focus on. We have one and only thing to focus on, and that's beating the anticipation of the guests.